We were on top of a tower, fully engulfed in flames, while a storm thundered overhead and lightning lit up the sky. On top of the precipice of the building ran ivy filled with large black snakes. Not just large snakes. We're talking man-eaters with fangs as long as carving knives and needle-sharp. Even worse, I saw people running out of doorways to escape the flames only to be hit with lightning and blasted over the side, shrieking downward to their deaths, the snakes striking into thin air, just missing their targets. Still bound to my friend, she pulled me to what looked like a metal door to a mechanical room and flung it open. I was surprised that there was no fire inside and that no one followed us. The door thudded shut, quieting the mayhem somewhat from outside. She sat us on the floor of a hallway to catch our breath, took off our bindings, and wrapped her belt around her waist once more. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, even though I felt dazed and scared like the dickens. I couldn't imagine how to get out of this hideous situation. Then she smiled. She looked deep into my panic-ridden face and said, rather calmly for the situation, "This is what just happened. The devil made you offers, and you almost took them, didn't you?" I nodded, shamefaced and regretful, but I knew that what she said was true. So many do. You want to believe him. He sounds so sincere. The offers sound so innocent and easy to do. So easy to back out if something goes horribly wrong. But this is what he didn't tell you. 1, the steps are far too small for you to stand on. 2, there were no moons on those steps, so they would not have done you any good at all. 3, the words were misspelled, so they were nothing but absolute gibberish. 4, the lines between the word and his friend were jagged, not straight, so it would be real easy for you to unintentionally step over them. And lastly, his friends wouldn't have waited for you to make a sound, much less denounce anything. They just grab you, pull you over the line, and don't let go. They play, but they don't play fair. That's why you never make a deal with the devil, okay? Okay. But what about my redemption? I whined. Compassion was written all over her face when she asked quietly, "What do you think the opposite of love is?" I shrugged my shoulders, confused by the change of direction of our conversation. "Hate?" She shook her head. "No, it's apathy. It's feeling nothing. The devil didn't really care one way or the other if you stayed or went. He doesn't care about you at all. It's just another game to him. He's just waiting for the next contestant. Have you ever noticed that the word live, L-I-V-E, spelled backward, is evil, E-V-I-L? Have you ever realized that the word lived, L-I-V-E-D, spelled backward, is devil? I shook my head. The devil cannot grant you redemption, because he, the embodiment of evil, is living backwards, living without the light of the One, turning away from it. Redemption moves you towards the light that he abhors. You saved yourself from evil, not me. You were the one who did not accept any of the devil's offers of food, drink, or friendship. I just verbalized it. So you already have your redemption. You blessed yourself by redeeming yourself. She paused to let that sink in. You know, many people have the mistaken idea that the darkness and evil is somehow outside the realm of the divine. It is not. In fact, many times I see the angels and demons working together. Now how could that be? Well, let's presume that the divine has created everything. If that is true, then all the lower realms were created by the divine, as well as the higher realms. In other words, God created everything of the light and everything of the dark. Everything comes from God, and everything returns to God, so nothing is ever separated from God. We are all one. Are they equally holy, equally viable? And why the dichotomy? What is the purpose of it? Simply put, for the lessons, the wisdom, and the insights that they bring. Neither side can be totally eradicated, because the balance between them is the major lesson for those on the earth. Understand? Mostly. You cannot fight evil with more evil, any more than you can fight fire with more fire. You only end up with even more fire. You only end up with even more evil. Like the angel of temperance taught, you have to apply the opposite energy to balance both energies. If it's a dark energy that is throwing a situation out of balance, slowly infusing light energy into the situation lifts up the entire energy of the incident and all those involved. I nodded. It made sense. Well, now how do we get out of here? I asked. Oh, simple. We go down to the end of the hall and through that door, she replied. When we reached the end, she opened another nondescript door, flooding the hallway once more with the sounds of terror. She then pushed me out, slammed the door, and locked it. I pounded on the door to get back in. I screamed. I pleaded. I whispered. I tried to make a deal. Nothing worked. Then I thought there might be another way, another type of shelter, another door to anywhere else. I started running around, looking for safety, finding none. Swiveling in my search, I suddenly came face to face with a huge black snake with a head the size of a beach ball, coiled and ready to strike. It did. Or at least it could have. I saw the open mouth with the inward hooks for fangs coming at me, ready and able to swallow my head. As I reared back, I must have been struck by lightning, flinging me over the side of the building, saving me from one fate, but condemning me to another. I fell screaming, wailing, shrieking, and tumbling for I don't know how long or how far. I felt the flames coming out of the windows of the tower. I closed my eyes, unable to watch my own certain horrific demise come hurtling at me. I don't want to die. I have too many things left to do. Too many things to say and write. This can't be happening. Just as I was prepared to breathe my last breath, to be a bloody splatter in the murky darkness below, I came to an abrupt stop in midair. I opened my eyes to see that I had been caught in a heavy net, and firemen were hauling me back into a lower floor of the building through a large window. Somehow, this portion of the tower escaped the flames. That's when I momentarily passed out. Once inside, the firemen gently laid me down. They made sure there was no serious injuries from the fall or the snakes. They helped me to stand on wobbly legs and passed me to other people who wrapped me in a warm blanket with soothing words, coaxing me into a wheelchair. I was crying hysterically and shaking uncontrollably from my ordeal, unable to comprehend what was happening around me. I sat in a daze, drowning in tears of shock, joy, terror, happiness, relief, and confusion. I looked around to see many others in the same situation. I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself. It didn't work. "Can I get you something to drink?" came in a deep, resonant voice I didn't recognize. I looked up into a serene face with kind eyes standing in front of me. I took in the helmet on his head that had angel wings sprouting from behind a shield of a fire chief. His dark chocolate skin had scars from the many fires he had fought. Wearily I nodded. He offered me a cup of warm broth, while I profusely whispered thanks to him and his company for saving my life. I wanted to fall to my knees and kiss his hands, but I was too weak. He knelt down in front of me, brushed back my tears, and adjusted my blanket. Speaking softly, he said, "How are you doing?" I shrugged. Probably not so well at all. "I know you'll get through this. Everybody does. We make sure of it. We'll help you too. I find the best part of being a fireman is helping people. I was a first responder in all of my lifetimes, so the last time I came over they said I could just stay here and do this. I like to think that this is my heaven." He looked around the large room in baffled amazement. "I don't know where or how so many people get into the tower. It's on an unstable mountaintop to begin with, so when things start shaking and firing up, the folks just start running to the top. Then they see the fires, the snakes, and the lightning, and either get struck by the lightning or jump. For them, it's nothing short of a total disaster, the end of their story. For us, it's the beginning of a new story for them. We catch them on the way down. No one ever reaches the rocks below. After that, we have a lot of people here to help them get back on their feet. If they find themselves back at the tower, we start all over again. It's just what we do." "And you do it so well, my friend. I'll take it from here." Ina Iekia stood behind him. I wanted to yell at her as in anger, and betrayal lit the fuse, but I was too exhausted for it to burn. All I could mumble out of my mouth was, "How could you leave me alone?" She took the fire chief's place, kneeling in front of me, and said, "It was the only way for you to learn the blessing for this portal, which is revelation. Has anything been revealed to you? Have you had an aha moment yet?" I thought for a bit. It was difficult to think after my ordeal, but something stuck out like a sore thumb. So I said, "I realized that there is help in even the most dire of circumstances. I had always felt alone when tough times came, or heartbreak overwhelmed me. So often I felt orphaned or deserted when I needed someone with me. Now I know that there are many helping hands stretching out to me. I am surrounded by kind-hearted people in the world. I've just never been aware of them before. I guess my blessing here is called alliance." I started crying again. Ina Iekia reached over, adjusted my blanket, and wiped my tears away. She helped me to my feet, and we walked a short distance to sit on a bench. She hung an arm around my shoulders. I laid my head on her shoulder and still crying. "The worst is over," she assured me. "The rest of the journey would be much easier." Comfort as warm as sunshine streamed from her, melting away my trauma. We stayed that way for a long time, before I recovered enough to continue. A counselor pointed the way to the next set of moon stairs. Ina Iekia explained that the moon on this portion was circled by a chrysocolla, a blue-green stone of forgiveness, peace, and the strengthening of emotional bonds. It encourages compassion and helps to recover natural spontaneity. Boy, did I need that.